Right. Well, thank you all for tuning in to our first webinar of 2025. And as you can see, we're coming to you live from the eltoro.com Bourbon Lounge. So we really wanted to take this opportunity in the first webinar to sort of talk about our direction and our vision for 2025. And I also wanted to introduce you to my homes here, Brian Battaglia, who is our new CEO. We're actually not really new anymore.
A couple in, yeah.
Okay, a couple months. All right, we'll give it to him there. We enjoy a good bourbon tasting here in the office, here in the Bourbon Lounge, especially. And we got one today. But before we do that, I wanted to take this opportunity. Each and every one of you that's on this call, a lot of you are current customers, current partners, prospective customers and partners. I really wanted to take this opportunity to invite each and every one of you by the office. Feel free to come in, share a beverage with us. Don't share a beverage with us. It's all good. We've got a lovely facility right here in Nulu. We've got fantastic views overlooking downtown Louisville. And, it's always important to us to be able to put faces with the names we work with on a day in, day out basis. So if you have a contact here, feel free to reach out to them. You're obviously welcome to reach out through the front door, any sort of web-based channels that we have. Coordinate with an account representative, and we'd be happy to host you here at our facility at eltoro.com.
Absolutely. Yep, that'd be great.
So let's introduce you all to the bourbon we have today. This is a very special one to me. Did you know that this is actually this is the first barrel tasting I was ever a part of?
The first barrel tasting?
Very much so.
Wow.
So this is we sent out an email yesterday. Hopefully many of you were able to pick up a bottle or already had one of these bottles on hand. But this is our Peerless Rye selection. So this was hosted by our friends Corky Taylor, who is the owner and master distiller there. I might misspeak on that one. At Peerless Distillery in downtown Louisville. It's a fantastic facility. I do highly recommend that if you have an opportunity to come to Louisville, you stop by their distillery. And they ain't paying me to say this. I actually genuinely like their juice.
True.
But this was a barrel that was a little bit older than ones that they had initially parted ways with up until they went into just a bunch of hooligans like us. This is about 7.5 years old. And we've really fondly named this one Ballistic. And we've got some custom labeling on here. Hopefully we can share some with you when you come by the office. But this actually comes in a little bit north, 111 proof. The flavor is actually quite a bit more subtle than the proof statement would indicate. But man, I really enjoy this juice. So this is one of our favorite house bourbons here. When we taste bourbon, many of you already know this, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it just in case. We look at 3 characteristics: the nose, the palate, and the finish. So let's go ahead and hit it, Brian.
Yeah. All right. Actually, I cheated on you there.
It's actually lovely. I mean, when I first kind of smell it, obviously you hit the oak, you get a little bit of vanilla in there. I actually smell some fruit.
Absolutely. Fruit. Yeah. It's got a little fruit to it.
And then when you taste it, it hits sweet and then it starts to heat up on you.
Yeah.
And
that spice on the back.
Yeah. As it finishes, you are drinking a bourbon, and I like that about it. And the heat kind of shows up there for me a little bit, and you kind of realize that you're not really drinking your granddaddy's cough syrup.
Yeah.
So
that is true. No, I love this bourbon too. Ever since you introduced me to it, I thought it's honestly one of the best bourbons I've ever had, hands down. And what I love about it, because my flavor profile, I'm usually a weeded guy.
Sure.
And usually the ryes aren't necessarily my thing. But this is a rye that has that lovely rye spiciness. It's got that vanilla caramel, but then at the same time, it's got that nice little smoothness to it, the sweetness to it from weeded. And man, it's great stuff. Really.
So it turns out the folks down at Peerless Distillery, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Now, they're not a sponsor of any of our webinars or podcasts yet, but they could be. So if you're listening out there, we'll take it. So once again, This is Brian Battaglia. He is our new CEO. He currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of ElToro.com. And sorry, I didn't memorize your bio here, Brian. I'm going to have to read this one off the table.
Quite all right.
In this role, Brian leads El Toro's strategy and growth initiatives, including the expansion of the company's industry-leading technologies and market reach. Prior to El Toro, Brian served as the Senior Vice President and General Manager for CoreLogic's Data and Analytics Business Unit. In this role, Brian directly oversaw the operational performance and strategic growth strategy of the data and analytics product portfolio. He led the business unit responsible for designing, developing, and distributing these products across the various markets of the company. Additionally, Brian has served as the General Manager of Construction Financing at Wells Fargo Commercial Finance. Earlier, he spent most of his career with GE across numerous business segments and in a variety of leadership positions within sales, business development, mergers and acquisitions, and operations. Outside the office,
Brian's family.
Brian's family.
Yeah, just like a lot of us are.
Yeah.
He enjoys outdoor activities. Dude can cook. And he enjoys his sports and he loves to travel.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the party, Brian.
Thank
really
you.
happy to have
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome to be here.
So, let's just break it down for everybody that's tuning in. How did you end up here?
How did you end up here? Yeah, it probably on paper, it doesn't look like the most conventional path, I guess, to your point. But when I was in that role at CoreLogic that you referred to, I had an opportunity to meet you and the other founders and the rest of the El Toro team. You guys at the time had some, obviously you still do, we'll talk about El Toro here in a bit, but you had some really fascinating data to us from a CoreLogic perspective. We were able to start thinking through how do these data sets work together. El Toro's been a client for CoreLogic for quite some time, but we kind of then took it from another level and said, what if we partner together and we start to build some different products and look at some different solutions for different spaces? And the rest is history, as they say. I kind of started to work really closely with you and Dan and the rest of the team here. And lo and behold, as life happens, there were a series of events, and you guys were kind enough or crazy enough, I'm not sure which yet, to approach me and say, hey, yeah, but what if we did something that looked like this? And I've always been a huge fan of El Toro as I got to know it from the other side. And I said, absolutely, let's go for it.
Well, buddy, you sure do know how to make a fella blush.
No.
For those of you who might not be as familiar with El Toro, and like I said, there's a lot of new folks that have joined in on this call. We opened our doors here in Louisville, Kentucky in 2013, and it was really on the heels of our careers in credit card fraud prevention, internet infrastructure. My partners and I, we were very heavily involved in the domain monetization side of online advertising in our past lives. And really, we wanted to generate kind of a sense of transparency and traceability in online advertising. Just kind of allowing advertisers to know the exact households that they're going to target before they spend a dollar. And I thought that was a pretty lofty goal. But what's more important about knowing those households is the fact that you can prove empirically via offline data points whether or not an online initiative was successful.
Yeah.
So, I guess long and short, did the houses buy, right? So to do this, we really threw out the playbook of invasive cookie-based technology. We threw out the playbook that kind of involved a lot of really esoteric device graphs that were very specific to individual walled gardens. And we keyed in on 3 data points that became our digital trinity. The cornerstone of that is the household. If you know the household, you know a lot about, the purchasing power, the company they keep, maybe what life cycles they could be in based upon the demographic makeup of that neighborhood. But with a very high confidence interval, we've been able to hyper accurately associate IP addresses and mobile advertising IDs with those physical households. And that allows us to contact folks and engage audiences based upon from the primary gateways through which they're accessing the internet. And to do this, we ingest a ton of data.
A lot of data. Yeah.
So we're buying and leveraging about 4.5 million opt-in records that we're consuming every single second of every single day to make sure that we are properly keyed in to this landscape and we are properly keyed in to adapt to that changing landscape. And over the years, we've really become, gosh, a little bit less of an ad delivery platform and an organization that is far more insight driven, a lot more consultative in our approach to providing those insights to our partners, and really bridging that gap from the online and offline world. And with those insights, we deploy a litany of hyper accurate audiences across a wide range of mediums, from, over the top and connected television all the way to banner and native advertisements. So it's one of those things that's been a very fulfilling, I guess, kind of goal over the course of the last decade and change. For somebody who didn't really think about life in terms of decades when we opened these doors. So, as we scaled, Brian came from a partner of ours prior to this. And, those partnerships have become ever more important to the growth and scale of our organization as we have grown. So, enough about El Toro. I think we got a good summary of what's going on here. I've occupied way too much time, but let's kind of get back to Brian. And we just got word from our eye in the sky, Ari Kruger, our director of marketing here, that our microphones are a little bit screwy. So we're going to try to speak up. So if we're yelling at you, feel free to come across in the comments or the Q&A section, and we'll try to be a little bit louder or a little bit better at that. So, Brian, how have you gotten integrated to our business over the course of the past couple of months?
Yeah. Actually, it's been super simple, candidly. You would think kind of coming from one organization to the next, there'd be a really interesting learning curve and ramp up period. Just hasn't really materialized that way. And I think in large part because I did have such familiarity with El Toro before ever coming in here. The partnership's a very close one between those two organizations. And so for better or for worse, I knew all the amazing upside opportunity, but also knew a few of the things that were maybe, areas of opportunity for us to dive in and start working on. And that's really, as I came on board, that's really what I started to do, was just kind of work with you, the founders, the rest of the leadership team, and really kind of go on a bit of a listening tour of the organization, pulsed a lot of different folks, paid a lot of attention to clients, and really started to formulate an idea about what are some of the things that we need to do kind of near term, and then start to really build much more of a strategy for us as we go long term. Which really, to me, it's the long-term piece that's exciting. It's why, not that the here and now isn't always important, it is. We've got some great stuff going on about that, but it's the opportunity of what El Toro will become. Because as you mentioned, it really, I think about it much more as a information services company that's underpinned with data and analytics and drives a lot of unique insights. Those insights can be used to fuel hyper-targeted advertising, the core of the business, the ad tech part, but it can also be utilized to do a lot of other things that really will allow us to diversify and branch into a number of different areas going forward.
All right, sweet. That was well put.
Thanks.
Okay, so you met Brian.
Yep.
You know where we've been. Where are we heading in 2025? Like, what's on our roadmap here? That's probably why a lot of you wanted to join this conversation today, just to kind of see what kind of new and exciting technology that we've got rolling out. I know we've got 3 specific prongs that we are barreling forward with right now. We'll go ahead and lead in on that for you.
Yeah, no, happy to. And I'm fortunate because I kind of get to pick up some really exciting things that we're working on here for 2025 that clearly the rest of the team here had in motion well before my arrival, but get the benefit of kind of bringing those to market. The first is really the next generation platform that we're bringing to market, which is really a fantastic platform in terms of the advances that this has for our clients. Just the user interface itself, far cleaner, far more user-friendly, the faster speeds that underpin all of it, the way that it allows clients to have different views into order lines and activity, just a lot of the things that it's able to accomplish for folks in a much more comprehensive way. But what I also love about this platform is just the optionality it's going to give us as we go forward to really start to enhance it into some things that frankly are tremendous differentiators to other folks that are in the ecosystem to really enable a self-serve opportunity from an advertising perspective for a whole host of companies across multiple industries of all shapes and sizes. That is a really unique opportunity for us as an organization. So I love everything we're doing on that front. The other, which is really kind of fascinating to the data nerd in me, if you will, is everything around what we would call intent to home. And this was, again, one of the things that I know the company had started to work on and was something that I really gravitated towards, because what I've always loved as I've grown to really love data and the fondness for data over the last several years is the art of the possible. And in this case, what we're doing is we're taking and we're marrying the behavioral aspects of the data, which is our heart and soul, bread and butter, as our Toro household behavior. And we're marrying that then with the household's online behavior. So we're taking physical world behavior, marrying it with online world behavior to get really, I think about as really the 360-degree view of that household in terms of what are they really interested in? Are they really interested in buying a car right now? Are they in the market for floor covering? What might that be? And so intent is a really fascinating area as we go forward in advertising, but also for a whole host of other use cases. And I think that's going to be one that continues to accelerate for us as we lean into that.
And I'm sorry to interrupt there, but like as somebody who has been here from the opening of our doors, we've always been very much so a top of funnel action in terms of sales. We've been very much focused on that silver bullet of conquest in the business world out there, and being able to really hyper accurately identify who is in market based on signals that, are correlated to actual homes is huge. And that has garnered quite a bit of success for us ever since we launched Intent to Home over the course of, 6 months ago? 7 months ago? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been, I think, keep me honest here, but I think it's been the fastest growing product in the history of the company.
Right.
From initial ground zero of launch 6-7 months ago to where we are today. And the opportunities in the pipeline just keep accelerating for it as we continue to work with it, but more importantly, as our clients continue to receive it, ingest it, and receive tremendous results coming out of it, which it's been a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, good. And then the third part really is something that, again, what I love about what we can do as a company, which is really take all this amazing data that we have and really start to build something that's unique. And in this case, this is a separate platform. This is not our core hyper-targeted marketing platform. This is a platform that we refer to as BWO. That is a platform that is specifically designed for real estate agents and brokerages. It is a workflow solution at the end of the day, is what it's really designed to be. So if I think about myself as a real estate agent, potentially as someone that owns or leads a brokerage company, what do I really want to be able to do? I want to be able to empower myself to be as efficient as possible and to be in front of people that are real prospects, or to continue to stay in front of people that are my existing clients, so that when they have a repeat purchase opportunity, I'm the one that's there and in front of them. And then to be able to think through, how do I make my life just really easier all the way around in terms of enabling all this, right? Because the legacy world of real estate, I mean, they could spend hours a day just doing nothing but pushing out communication, trying to think about their marketing strategy, their advertising spend, et cetera. BWO simplifies and automates all of that. And it's going to be underpinned with a AI logic that really thinks about and takes into account the holistic area around that real estate agent and all the different things that are going on that could potentially impact the agent's ability to be successful at any given point in time, and make automated recommendations about how to do their role potentially a little bit more efficiently, effectively, et cetera. So this is one that we're going to be bringing out of beta here over the next couple of months and put formally into market. It's got a lot of positive feedback thus far, and so we're really excited to see what this can become.
It's great. And as we have this massive tech stack behind us. Being able to dive into a given vertical, a new industry that we might not have been involved with in the past has been really refreshing. Just from a stance of managing a team and kind of just being able to dig in with a market that we haven't been able to work within before effectively, and to actually bring some transformative change and some transformative tech to that space it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. But once again, we're always looking for something new.
And that's one thing I really failed to mention, kind of, that, when you asked kind of why did you join? I mean, that was one thing that was always readily apparent to me is the technology of this company is tremendous. I mean, 22 patents and growing at this point.
Shucks.
The original IP targeting patent, just the ability to kind of go into all these different spaces is just amazing. And it's daunting and it's exciting, exhilarating, all the stuff you said. It also gets a little bit, like we've got to be intelligent about how we do that, for sure. Because, there's so many different things we can do and our capabilities can do. We just got to be kind of smart about how we do it. But the technology backbone of this company is really unrivaled in terms of what it enables us to do, and we continue to advance it.
Awesome. Before we kind of get into, I know we've got Q&A scheduled here. A lot of you had emailed Ari beforehand just to kind of get some of the questions in prior to this webinar. So, once again, I'd like to thank Ari Kruger, Director of Marketing, also Jeremy Ficklin. Jeremy, you might recognize Jeremy. He's been on the podcast that we did some time ago as well. But he handles a lot of our infrastructure here in FizOps. So big thanks to both of them for making this happen. Because, this is not how we generally do webinars. And thank you all for being patient with us as we kind of figure this out. We're having fun with it. So if you can't have fun in this line of work, then I think you're doing something wrong. Do you want to hit us with the first question, Ari?
Yes. So first one that rolled in, how do you remain unique as the landscape evolves and in many senses becomes more crowded?
You want me to take it?
Yeah, please.
It's a great question. I think, look, I always go back to a very, very simple mantra, which is stay close to your clients. If you stay close to your clients, you stay close to partners, you listen well, then you're going to be able to, one, you're going to develop a deeper relationship that is a sticky relationship, if you will, because you kind of go through the cycles. Two, it's going to kind of highlight for you, like, what are the things you need to go work on based on a lot of different trends that are going on in the industry. So I always think about it that way in terms of, how do we remain unique? We got to kind of start with, are we listening and are we kind of paying attention to our landscape? Then we got to take that and we got to start to build that into what I believe is really already a differentiated value prop for us in terms of a lot of things we've already talked about. It really does set us apart against our competitors in terms of what we can generate for clients on the return on their advertising spend, how we go about providing them with unique insights about audiences they should select, how we think about something like intent to home that we talked about earlier. That's all differentiated for us. I think as we continue to go forward, we're going to continue to, like you said, the El Toro of today is vastly different than El Toro directly would have been 10, 12 years ago. We're going to always kind of be in that mode, particularly in this world that we're now going into with AI and LLMs and all the other technology that's out there. The other thing too is, look, as we've hit on a few times, I view this company really as an information services company that has a lot of data that enables us to drive data-driven insights that frankly can be pieced together in a myriad of ways to provide real answers to business challenges that are facing a whole host of industries today. And when you kind of take all that in place, the other thing that this company is really good at that's going to enable us to stay strong is that we're agile, right? I mean, for sure, this is a very, very agile place. That's probably been my biggest surprise since being here is how fast we can go on things when we decide to go ahead and make a pivot. And that is a hallmark, I think, of this company that really differentiates us quite a bit. So yeah, it's going to be a competitive landscape as we go forward. Every industry is, but I really think we're well poised and we have a foundation and a culture, more importantly, that's going to allow us to continue to advance as an enterprise with the market changes.
Nothing further to add.
Ari, next question.
Yeah.
What else do we have here?
Next up, we have how will El Toro plan to adapt as more states become stringent regarding the use of data in advertising?
Ooh.
Yeah. On that, this one is kind of a passion of mine. Again, kind of the data nerd in me, I guess, coming out here.
Truly.
Yeah.
Oh man, compliance, sir.
But first and foremost, this is an evolving area, no doubt about it. A lot of states are going with their own type of privacy initiative. There's a whole host of regulations that are out there that are vastly different state by state today. There was obviously chatter over the last couple of years that should there be this national standard of some sort, which doesn't have a lot of traction at the moment, given a lot of the changes going on in Washington, but that's always an opportunity that might be out there as well. But first and foremost, what I would say is I'm extraordinarily proud of this team. We have some fantastic legal compliance resources that are all over this every single day. You know it very well because they keep us apprised constantly. And we are absolutely compliant with every regulation that's out there, and we're monitoring ones that are likely to come into law at some point and saying, how do we want to start to think and pivot today to be in compliance with those? So I actually don't see that as a hindrance for us as a business. I actually see that as a competitive opportunity for us as a business, because there are people that don't do what we do, candidly, and that's going to come back to bite them. Being compliant doesn't mean that it stops you from being able to do business. It just means we have to be adjusting to the how. And I think we've done a fantastic job of that. I'm really proud of it. So I know that that's going to continue to be an area around privacy that we're going to always be monitoring. But it's one that always, frankly, has been monitored previously as well. So it's just how do we continue to stay in lockstep with all the local changes at the state level.
For sure. And I mean, we tend to lead with compliance in many industries as well.
Right. Yeah, that's a
which
good point. Yeah.
It's kind of refreshing, kind of being able to get into a conversation with, specific marketing agencies that might represent, folks in politics or folks in, a variety of different sensitive subjects there, and to be able to speak eloquently about it and to be armed as, sales professionals.
Yeah.
To be armed with, the proper materials to better navigate that ecosystem. It really makes us a lot more effective in handling some of their needs.
Yep.
And it helps sets us apart from the crowd, with the other fly-by-night, the fly-by-night companies that exist in that ecosystem.
Right. Yeah.
So it's refreshing.
It really is. Yep.
Thanks, Deanna. Thanks, Rob. Those are our attorneys, guys, by the way.
Deanna and Rob are a couple of our attorneys, Amelia as well. They do a fantastic job for us.
Just a few more because we're almost at time.
Yeah, sure.
What risks are you all observing across the landscape as it relates to a lot of the economic uncertainties we're witnessing in the US and abroad?
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's been an eventful couple of months here for us all, I think, as we pivoted, under the new administration. There's, if I were to sum it up, not saying anything that probably isn't already top of mind for most people, it's an uncertain moment from an economic standpoint. You have all the tariffs that are going on out there. How is that impacting different businesses? Tariffs are on, tariffs are off, tariffs are this, tariffs are that. Like there's been just a lot of juxtaposition that's been really prevalent for the last 30 to 45 days. And I think that anytime you have a situation like that, where you do have some amount of uncertainty that is out there, the natural tendency for companies is going to be a little bit more cautious, for all of us probably as consumers even, to be a little bit more cautious. Sure. And we're seeing that now reflected in some of the economic data that's coming out. All that being said, I do truly believe that even though we might be entering into a period like that, where you have some of these headwinds with uncertainty that could result, honestly, in reduced ad spend for some companies, which clearly would have some degree of impact for us. There's a whole host of opportunities in the big world out there for what we do as a company. So from that standpoint, we don't necessarily see that per se as something that will hinder us, but it could definitely have an impact on us. Midterm, longer term, I actually think the economy is probably going to be in a really good spot. It just might be a little bit bumpy here as we go through 2025, but I do see that probably starting to have some benefits for us as we get into the back part of this year and then into 2026. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, but I mean, in these times when folks tend to pull back from a lot of traditional mechanisms in advertising and traditional mechanisms for outreach, they tend to turn to folks that have a greater degree of accountability.
Yeah,
that's true. People that do more with less, organizations that do more with less, and that's really the hallmark of El Toro. That's what we built our business upon. I mean, there probably isn't a week that goes by that I don't have the conversation with somebody that I can do more with 1,000 impressions through my technology than my closest competition has the capacity to do with 20,000 impressions. impressions.
Yeah.
So it's about efficiencies. It's about being able to explain the return that comes from a lot of those advertising spends. That's the environment we thrive in.
Yeah.
And you know, this is honestly, it's nothing new for us.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't the first time we've seen you know, a little bit of headwind in front of us.
Yeah,
So,
you don't stay around for 12 years if you can't pivot through some economic cycles. Yeah, exactly right.
But anywho, I think, are we good on time? Do we have any more questions? You got anything else you want to pepper us with?
One quick fun one before we wrap up. Do you all have any NCAA tournament predictions?
Well, my tournament prediction was Louisville going all the way. I had a hat ready to throw on at the end of this webinar. This is actually, this is my favorite day of the year. First day of the NCAA tournament. We order a lot of wings here at El Toro, and it's
Hundreds
everything.
of wings.
Hundreds of wings.
Hundreds of wings.
I mean,
yes. Yeah.
I mean, you know, I ate enough wings to get a little bit of the meat sweats earlier, but it's okay. Louisville didn't make it out of the first round, so that is wildly unfortunate. So I am retiring from any sort of NCAA prediction. You're welcome to go for it.
Yeah. Look, I am sorry, by the way, about UL. For those of you that obviously were joining us, like, they must have lost 5 minutes before we came on.
Sure. Yeah.
So it was a little bit of consolation here. At least we were going into the bourbon tasting. Look, I'm a Mizzou guy. Missouri, raised, and they're number 6 seed in the West. But I'm a realist. Like, if you'd asked me this question a month ago, I'd probably said Mizzou absolutely could go all the way, because I truly believe they can beat any team in the country. I really think they've proven that. The last 2 or 3 weeks, though, have given me a lot of pause about their ability to do that at this moment in time. So who knows? I mean, I do have them going past Drake tonight. Knock on wood, we shall see. That being said, when I filled out my bracket yesterday, I did have Florida and Duke in the national championship, and I just think Florida's peaking at the right time. They can score, they can get to 100 points a game if they need to, if they're, the three's on. So I don't know. They just seem awfully strong to me, but it's the tournament, which means Florida will probably be out tomorrow. And there'll be another year of my brackets being completely busted and broken, and nothing else would be different from that standpoint. So
if you ever do have the opportunity to come to our offices on the very first day of the tournament, it is a heck of a time, and it is everything that we've been able to do to keep people quiet during the main bullpen outside. Yeah. So I really do want to say thank you to everybody sitting in our office right now for being cool about this.
Yeah. It's a fun day, though, no doubt.
But honestly, guys, gals, everybody on the call here, we truly appreciate you sitting down with us, sharing 35 minutes of your day and your week with us. And I sincerely hope that many of you reach out to us. Please take me up on that offer. I'm always willing to share a coffee, share water, share brown water with somebody. It's all good. We relish the opportunity to host and to, just kind of listen sometimes and help solve problems that might be a little bit more complicated than your average bear has the capacity to.
Yeah.
So let us know if you need anything. eltoro.com/contact. Give us a yell. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a great day.